I'm a fan of fantasy, so I listen to Easy and Alan on their Just a Fantasy Fan podcast. Now here's Easy and Chris Allen.
Yeah, welcome to Fantasy Fan Sportscast. Just one, and probably the best show on the Sportscrew Radio Network. Be sure to follow them at Sportscrew Radio on iTunes and Twitter. The Sportscrew Radio Network. They're creating sports, fantasy sports, DFS, and gambling content 24/7 to sportscrew.com. And we appreciate them for having us here. And we appreciate them for something else, Chris. I don't know if you've noticed, but we appreciate them for letting us come into their league and teach them how to be at the top. I'm not, you have known me long enough to know I'm no bragger.
You are the humblest of people. I mean, just absolutely. I mean,
I am one with the humble.
Yeah, you're incredibly modest. I'm just a modest man.
But, we are 8 weeks in, or to be 8 weeks in. And there's two of us on this show. And I think, is it a 14 or 12 person league? I didn't pay attention. I didn't pay attention because me and you are so far at the top. I can't get. Okay, it's 12 people, 12 team league. And we're schooling them, Chris. We're schooling them. I mean,
it's a tight race, man. It's like we're at 5-2. There are some people at 4-3. I mean, if either of us lose this week, I mean, the rankings could be shaken up by any one loss.
You do realize one of us has to lose this week.
That is true. We are playing against each other this week. So, it couldn't come at a better week. I mean, to be quite honest.
Yeah, I have a few guys off and some injuries, and I think you're pretty much healthy, it look like, but that's all right.
We'll see how it goes.
The ESPN get you to click and stay on their website projection system.
Yeah.
I am convinced that system is only there to make you keep clicking on the website.
I know that
they want you to always think it's close so that you're going to look some more.
Yeah, I know that like guys like Mike Clay and some of their top analysts say that they do some of those projections, but man, it's still hard for me to get behind some like the way they look at some of these games and so like the player outlooks for each week. It's just hard for me to agree with what I see on there. So I just try and put my best lineup out there, and we'll see how it shakes out after Sunday.
And actually, you have to take advantage of that information.
Sometimes you do.
If you're an advanced player and you're playing in home leagues, and your home league people are married to those projections, you can quickly figure out who's going to be taken in the waiver wires. You can be, who's going to be picked up, who's going to be because if ESPN projects them high, they get taken.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. And
without a doubt.
I mean, I've listened. I don't listen as much as I used to. I catch it here and there. I try to always listen to Stefania Bell, the show, when she's doing hers. But the ESPN podcast, too mainstream for me. I mean, I hate to put it that way, but everyone listens. So, I mean, and again, if everyone's going to do that same thing, me, I'm a tit for tat. And
you got to, zig where other people are zagging, that sort of thing.
So I find those little oddball podcasts like ours where you might get a little insight that's different. That's all. So
for sure.
But it is me versus you. So one of us is obviously still going to be in first place. So that's pretty much a good thing. I don't know if you noticed the guy that's technically tied with us. He took a bunch of shots last week. Everyone that got injured. His team. He lost Mahomes. He lost, like, if I'm not mistaken, at least 2 or 3 different people.
Yeah.
He got
I think when I played, that happened to me when I played, I think it was either Lou or Malpal, one of the two. I think I had like 3 people out that week. It was just it was a rough week to field a full starting lineup.
Well, what you only, Malpal lost Thielen, Holmes, and now obviously now he's getting Barkley back. And must have cut somebody. I thought for sure there was a third one there, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes for him. Yeah. But like I said, I'm just saying, we thank the Sportscrew Radio Network for letting us, be on, and and we appreciate them, for letting us school them, in fantasy, and that just a fan and I'm not allowed to say expert anymore. We
I'll just say like enthusiastic for fantasy football.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm just saying we're there. I don't know. I started writing notes down on what to talk about. There's so many, it doesn't matter. We could talk about just about anything.
Yeah.
So obviously I like to go backwards first, last week. The two New York quarterbacks. Are we both okay with the future of the New York football teams, New York City football teams, or was that one of those weeks where it could hurt a young guy? I mean, Danny Dimes, something Dimes, what have they called him?
Yeah, Danny Dimes. Yeah, that nickname has to be dead.
Yeah. If he hadn't been a quarterback now, and those stats would have been Eli's, Eli would be definitely, that would have been the end of Eli. I mean,
Eli's had games like that.
I know, but that's my point. If it happened now, it definitely would have.
Yeah. Well, that's what propelled them in order to take a quarterback at, 6th overall or wherever they took Daniel Jones
and move up and get him. But I guess that's my question. Are the two New York City teams going to be okay, in the football realm as far as quarterbacks go?
So for the Giants, I'm not all that. Well, I think it's one of two things. Well, one, I mean, their offensive line, they already had problems there. And then if you already had, Evan Ingram was hurt, Sterling Shepard wasn't there, and Saquon Barkley was limited. I mean, I guess I can give Daniel Jones somewhat of a pass because he was down a couple of guys, already a weak offensive line, whatever. But still, I mean, to get sacked, 8 times against a team that hadn't generated almost any pressure against the quarterback for the past couple of weeks, even with Patrick Peterson coming back, I was really shocked to see that bad of a performance. So I'll give him a pass for now. I mean, like a slight pass. I mean, it's still a really bad performance, but a slight pass, just because they had so many people down. But for Sam Darnold, man, it'd be one thing if he was stepping up in the pocket. It'd be one thing if he was actually mobile and actually, extending drives by trying to run or anything like that. It'd be one thing if he wasn't just completely going back on just basic quarterbacking mechanics. Because I mean, for all of his faults, I want to say that Booger McFarland actually called a pretty decent game on Monday night, because he was noticing a lot of the things that most quarterbacks are able to do at this point in their careers. I mean, even I get it that Sam Darnold, he missed a few games because of mono and whatever, but I mean, so many passes, throwing off your back foot, just not being able to see what the defense is giving you. And I know you're playing against Bill Belichick. I get that. But at the same time, it's you can't have these implosion games like that.
You just said, I heard that a lot. See, I don't like that you played Bill Belichick.
I think that's a poor excuse. I really do. I get it, but at the same time, you can't have games like that.
He's in your division. You need to be prepared. You can't. I don't even buy that excuse. I'm not a film guy. We've had that discussion. I thought I was watching a horrible quarterback. I mean, he was
that was not the same guy we watched last year.
Oh my Lord. I mean, he just there, you see the difference the other night in a quarterback who's throwing the ball away and someone who just thought the field was the Canadian football field and 10 more yards.
This would actually take that back. This is not the same guy we saw 2 weeks ago or a week ago when they played against Dallas. I mean, this is not that same quarterback.
No.
In no way, shape, or form.
I don't know. And it's not the first time he's seen them. I mean,
right.
I just think, I don't know. if I had to say that this week hurt one of them more than the other, I think it hurts him. Darnold gets hurt worse.
I agree.
Moving on, could struggle with him. Obviously, they're all that went on, and they're upset that they released some microphone footage of him.
That's
saying,
not even okay.
I think that's
let's distract everybody. Yeah, let's distract everybody from this massive fire that we've got going on at the most important position on our team.
We're not upset that the whole building just fell down. It's this tree over here got some dust on it.
I mean, if that were really the case, if they were really upset, or if they were concerned about like Sam Darnold's like well-being, the second that clip aired, they should have pulled him. He should not have played that full game. If they were that concerned with like, I guess how bad it made him sound, or if they were concerned about like, how he's reading the field or anything like that, if they were concerned about Sam Darnold, they should have pulled him at like halfway through the fourth quarter. I think if you're talking to a young kid and he says that, you're doing other things to motivate him. I don't think the coach could have taken that information necessarily and used it to sit him. Watching him on the field should have been enough to sit him. I'm not. Yeah, there's nothing he was learning at that point.
When you're talking, I've been there. I've coached young kids. When you're talking to them, you're sometimes what they're saying you have to take in, and then give something back a little bit to help them. I didn't even think. I'll be honest. I didn't think it was that big a deal when they even played it back and said something.
But like the media latched onto it, like with the quickness, like this.
Twitter, that's my point. As a guy who watches a lot of football, I just whatever,
Yeah, it's like, that sucks.
Again, if you come off the field and go, man, I'm seeing ghosts out there. I can't figure out what they're doing.
Yeah,
that's the way I took it, and
that's the way I kind of took it.
And I believed him. He did not know what was going on.
They're playing the best. The best defensive unit in the league right now. So I think that to me, I thought it was just more of a commonplace statement for a young quarterback against a really talented defense. I didn't take it to be anything more than that. And this thing that they're trying to turn this into. Right. Again, until the Jets put it in the news again, I didn't think anything else about it. I don't latch on to memes and think, this means something, I just let it, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But then when the Jets put out an article, I realized to them it's a bigger deal. And then it makes me look into it a little more. And but it's kudos to them that they have something to make a bigger deal than the fact that their quarterback was reduced like to a rookie in one night.
Right.
I guess, if that's the way that they want to spin it, so everybody talks about this, I think I saw somebody bring up the fact that they nicknamed this Ghost Gate now or something like that because we have to attach gate to everything. But either way, they had something that they could just try and turn the attention away from the fact that their franchise quarterback just threw 4 picks that caused 5 turnovers.
Come out and blame the Patriots somehow. That Bill Belichick released the tape. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Everybody they were playing the Patriots. This stuff really happened when the Patriots are playing. Yeah. They would have never released this if it hadn't been the Patriots. The NFL is, the NFL is the Patriots league. You hear people like that. So it's kind of entertaining, but I just didn't read anything into it until the Jets made a big deal out of it, which tells me they're more concerned about how it affected him. I think they're fighting it because, somehow maybe he's, taking it the wrong way and they have to kind of, but if that's the case, you have more issues. He should be a little more, again, I don't know if the word's professional, but hey,
if they were concerned about him not being able to handle the stress of being a professional quarterback, then they shouldn't have drafted the youngest starting quarterback in the history of the game.
Right.
Like that's what they did. So
I think it'd have been better for him just to come out and say, hey, he's young. He came off the field and he was honest to his coach. Yeah. Coach, I'm lost out there. I'm just seeing things that aren't there. And they and you should have prepared me better, damn it. But you know what I'm saying? I think I'd have spun it more that way, that, hey, we're just glad he came off the field and recognized that. And as a coaching staff, we have to prepare him better
I think that's the tack that they should have taken.
Sure.
I mean, instead of this, like, well, we're just upset because they can't believe ESPN aired the comments, blah, 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 blah. Like, no, just own it. I mean, you guys got shut out of a national football game on primetime TV.
Well, and what it comes down to is money. You guys, ESPN paid you a lot of money to televise a game. That game includes microphones in certain places on certain players.
Yeah, I guess by the story, he agreed to be mic'd up. So it's not like they forced it on him.
They have to be. I mean, they have to be. The team has
to. But it could have been a defensive player. They could have mic'd up Quinn Williams.
Right.
I mean, that would have been fun. Right. I mean, to hear.
I don't know what the actual stipulation is, but the team I know can pick somebody. Now, I think there's some stipulation on it. It has to, they can't put it on the third string punter.
Right. Yeah. It has to be an actual starter.
I think there's a contract as far as who it has to be, and it's somewhat, and
they could put it on Jamal Adams, Quinn Williams. I mean, they could put it on Le'Veon Bell. That would have been fun.
Other people are saying, "Oh, he had that mic on. He should have known." No, if you're a real professional, that mic has to disappear. You have to.
You can't. I don't want
my Bengals players playing different because they have a mic on. You know, if you would say that during a game, so that it might affect the game, then you need to say it. If it's if it's something to their players, another player, your coach, or a referee. So
right.
I really believe that if you're going to, so the mic should disappear to a point. So to blame the fact that he should have known he's on microphone, those are people who have no clue.
Yeah, I agree.
Of the pressure and what's going on and what, everyone wants to put a football player as their own job, like a football player is the same as,
like working at McDonald's or something like that.
I mean, just any regular, $100,000 a year job. I mean, it's not the stress level. I'm sure is, we all have stressful days. I'm guessing, during a game, the starters, there's pressure, it's just different. And
I think I've made this comment. I'm pretty sure I've made this comment on this show, but if not, I've said it multiple times in private conversations. But you have to be something of a psychopath in order to be a professional sports player, because the way that your every word, like your actions, because how people even assess body language,
right?
They assess people the players when they look dejected, like sitting there on the bench, and if their body language isn't the right way. So you can't even sit in silence without having to portray yourself in the right way for somebody to make a comment like, oh, he's looking really dejected right now, and he should be like a leader. He's supposed to be a leader of men, and all these other, platitudes or sayings that we have for people. And it's just like,
right.
He has normal emotions. He's a normal human being.
It was last week, a week ago. What was a week 6? The game with Flacco, Flacco could have not looked more like, I don't want to be here, as I've seen a long time. That being said, Flacco always looks like that. He has looked more up, yes.
Sure.
But at the same time, he is not that rah kind of guy. But
he's just a robot.
But at the same time, they were killing him. There's
who cares?
There's 360-pound guys that are trying to hurt you, and at some point you just get frustrated that what you want to do isn't working, and you're going to have that look of like, what do I do? And that look, normal guy that works a job just thinks, now that he gave up because he looked that way. You don't know,
No, you don't. And I hate that, for us, and I lump all of us together. Us as people that are non-players of the sport, to become do the armchair analysis of sitting there saying, well, he doesn't look the way that you're supposed to look in situations like that. And you try and apply your own, your own, I guess, standards for how people are supposed to operate in stressful situations, and say that, well, if it was my job, I would, I would still be out there doing that.
That's the problem. It's not even a normal thing you can compare to really anybody's job.
Not even close.
And to be honest, that's all sports, all professional sports.
I agree.
You hear that a lot, about, this player's an a-hole, that player's an a-hole, that player's a jerk, that player's
Like, you don't know them.
One, you don't know them. Two, there has to be some mental attitude you have to take that, especially during a game, that could come off as being an a-hole, because you're switching a switch in your head. And again, I've said it before, and my players will tell you, it's just men's softball, and the a-hole switch on me clicks. Meaning I am there to have fun and we have a good time.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I want to win. I'm a very competitive person.
For sure.
If again, I've done a-hole things, like I said, in a men's softball, but I'm not the only one. Other people have. I mean, I've seen it. There are people that are a-holes in an event, and I have seen some of the nicest people in the world. Just something switches on them, and they become, in that one moment in one game, become, oh my God, where'd that come from? And it's and that's still not the stress compared to what they've got.
Right.
It's not even close, but I have seen it. So
sure,
but I worry more about Darnold than Mr. Dimes, because Mr. Dimes is. He's a rookie, right? It's not his second year. Darnold's second year.
Yeah, Darnold's second year. It's Dimes' first year. I mean, it's only like his fourth start, I want to say, because he took over for Eli after week 2.
I mean, I don't know how old you are. I mean, I do, but I remember year 1 of Mr. Elway. Mr. Elway did not look.
That was slightly before my time.
He had some horrible games. I've seen him twice, line up, not behind the center, but the guard is the next guy, right?
Yeah.
The guard then tackle. So I've seen him go up to the butt of the guard and, a couple of times. I mean, it's a mental game, so even, there's a chance both of these guys become the GOAT. We can't say, there's
right. Yeah.
But, all right. Didn't plan on spending 22 minutes talking about the two quarterbacks there, but definitely was some ugly football there. The weather game, I wish I should have talked to you. I didn't have too many players in that game.
I did.
I had Kittle. I think Kittle might have been the only one I had in any of my leagues in that game, because I didn't have any Washington Redskins. I had Peterson, but I didn't play him. Where were you? I guess maybe I missed your tweets.
That one didn't actually. I wrote up.
I knew there was a chance of rain, but then I turned that game on and went, "Holy cow!"
That one, it popped up on the radar for my Friday night piece over on Friday piece over at Number 5 for the weather report. So that one popped up on the radar, but the forecast when I read it on when I got the forecast date on Thursday night had only had it for like 0.01 inches per hour, 0.02, something like that, and that's basically just like a light rain.
Right.
But I wrote, and people can go, it's still up on the site. You can go back and take a look. My concern at the time was that because the showers were supposed to start like earlier in the day, my concern was that if the rain would continue to pour all day and it's not artificial turf, so it doesn't drain, it doesn't go anywhere, so that would create a bunch of mud.
Right.
I found a tweet from 2014 that actually showed the field getting covered. So my assumption was that tarp still existed, so that the field would actually be covered. But that's not the case. Apparently, they're so cheap that they don't have that anymore.
Someone lost the tarp.
Yeah, they don't have. The field was uncovered because I saw pictures of beat reporters that got into the press box in order to cover the game a couple hours beforehand, and the field was uncovered. And there was just rain pouring onto the field. So by the time the game started, there were already puddles of water. Mud was, all over the place. And, halfway through the game, everyone was just slip sliding around.
I should have asked, was that game in Washington?
Yep.
Was there an advantage for Washington in a mudder versus if it had been a dry field?
There's no advantage for anybody on that. I mean, because
back in the day when they played the Rams, when they had all their speedsters and all that, there was always rumors that they'd keep the grass 5 inches high instead of 3. And to me, if that's who I was playing and there was a chance of rain, I might forget to cover the field if I was playing the Rams from back in the day. And
not in this case, with as poor as the Washington's offensive line has been, it doesn't matter. Like, they can't even create an advantage for themselves, even by using the elements.
Yeah, we can't throw. Wesley's not starting to get now again, but
yeah, I saw.
So we can't blame him yet, or anything. But just was was ugly. Let's quickly injuries. I don't know. Would Thielen, fantasy-wise, be one of the big ones, except that he's probably going to be back.
Let's Thielen, carry on, and Flash. Those are the 3 big injuries for there.
Right. And Gordon now is out. He's done for fantasy, right? IR puts you at 8 weeks, and that would mean week 16.
Oh, they're already saying his time in New England is done.
Well, I've heard that too, but we don't know that for a fact. What we know for a fact is IR means you can't play him now till week 16. So,
they won't even. So teams that have 2 IR designation to return, they've already used one with N'Keal Harry.
Right, they're not going to use that on him.
The other one would most likely, they're already speculating to be Isaiah Wynn, their offensive lineman, which they need help on that line anyway.
Right.
So there's no way that they wouldn't bring back another wide receiver, especially since they just traded for Mohamed Sanu. So that's
and they think that's why they did that, obviously, so they could.
I guess I don't know. I don't necessarily buy that, because I saw the report saying that Josh Gordon was out of practice today. 2, they have training videos showing him running at 22 miles an hour. So he's capable of doing it.
Right.
I mean, so I think this is more of a calculated decision. They knew where they were at. They needed to move on. So this was the way that they could move on.
Yeah. And this is the type thing that the Patriots are good at. They're good at just making it go away.
It's a business. I mean, it's a business for them. So if they know what's the easiest path for them to move on from a player and they can continue to win as an organization, they will do that.
But there is a chance, I guess, that he could pop up on someone else's team now, right?
Correct.
So you wouldn't necessarily drop him yet. Yeah, well, that's the thing. He hasn't been doing a lot anyway, but there are a few teams, if he popped up, that maybe he's more likely. I mean, I'm pretty convinced that if somehow he ended up on the Redskins, he'd be their number 1 probably. Not the 49ers now. I was thinking the 49ers before they picked up, another wide receiver. But
the Colonel.
There are places where he could show up where maybe he's a number 1 option, and maybe back to being a number 2, which is what we thought he was going to be anyway, or we knew he was going to be because of Edelman.
Yeah.
So, and then that was the big one. Then the next one was Johnson going down. Carry on. I have him in 2 different leagues. The one's a keeper league, so I just put him on IR. The other one's a keeper league, but his keeper value would have been round 4. I didn't think that was worth it, because even next year, coming back off of this injury, I don't know if I'd take him in round 4 next year or not. I had to bump him off. I took him off because I don't think I'd play him in week 16 anyway. I'm not going to, if I make it to the Super Bowl, I'm not playing him. So I had to cut him.
Especially, on a team that at the very least, I guess the move surprised me, because this is a team that just, they traded away one of their better defensive players in the secondary, in Quandre Diggs. And then now Johnson is down. So it's just, while the team is, somewhere in the middle to the upper level of their division,
they need to win a couple.
Yeah, that you're selling away pieces when you still have a decent outlook on your season. So I don't understand where they're at as an organization at this point.
I had to make the decision on the backup situation there. I elected to not participate.
In the Ty Johnson race to fab.
I did not want to waste my number 1 waiver in 1 league. In the league me and you are in, I did put a bid in for him because I have Kerryon Johnson on that team.
I did too.
but I put in a bid. I'm going to say I was around $35 or something.
That was about mine. Like
Lou Landers paid $100.
Yes, I saw that. Yeah.
I could give it. He did text me today and said, "Do you think I overpaid?" I did not look at the waivers. I don't normally, so I don't know if anyone. I knew I was in the 30s, so I don't know if there was anybody higher.
Yeah, I bid somewhere. Mine was like maybe 30, 35 or something like that. So it was about half of my remaining budget.
I didn't even do half. I have 100. I had 130. I had quite a bit left, but I have. How do I want to say this? I don't have great running backs, but I thought I had enough that I could survive without him and waste all that money. Which, hey, at the end of the season, we could be wrong, and I should have spent 100 like Lou.
Because they could sign. I mean, they could do the same thing like Arizona, sign another back or whatever. All that.
I mean, that's where I'm at. I don't think Kerryon Johnson was not doing that great anyway.
Right.
Meaning they weren't giving him lanes to run. They weren't. I mean, the Lions themselves weren't helping him. Because I've seen video and heard people talk that he is a pretty good runner and still couldn't get things going. So I'm assuming a lesser runner is still going to struggle also.
True.
And the team, I think, is maybe going to go a different direction now, I think, with some way other injuries are on. Which I did in this league, I got McKissick. I would rather spend the $15 or so and take a shot, on their third down back and maybe hope I get a Cohen type guy or something like that, where I can get somebody that's good for 12 or 15 points every week versus a starting running back that I don't even want to start because he might only get me 5 or 10.
Well, yeah, because you could still wind up getting a quality running back. And we saw how the Lions actually started to operate after Kerryon went down, because I mean, Matt Stafford was slinging the football after that. Yeah. It wasn't this obedience to, running the ball however many times that Matt Patricia liked to run it. So now if you're getting a pass catching back on a team that is now going to start to pass a little bit more often, then hey, I mean, you've got good value right there.
And I just felt I'd rather paid half for him. And also, I'm like you kind of said, I'm not sure that there won't be a Drake there or a Jai or something like that. And then to me, that hurts Ty more than it does McKissick, because both of those backs even are backs that are down 1 and 2 and come off when and put a third down back on. Yeah. So I just felt the money was safer there. In the other league where it was my waiver position, which I had number 1, I thought about a lot, but the problem was somebody yesterday dropped Tariq Cohen because of a trade.
Okay.
Should have dropped somebody else, I felt, but he dropped Tariq Cohen. Yeah. I felt Tariq Cohen is better spending my number 1 waiver on a known entity, a known situation. Is he a Ty Johnson or a Kerryon Johnson? No, not if they are number 1 and have good weeks. Yeah. But he's going to get me 12 or 15 points pretty much, every week. He's already had his bye week, so I can mix him in, my flex or running back based on my, when I have guys on bye. I just feel more of a versatile player that I can plug in and get 10 or 12 points. And again, I'm still not sure that Ty Johnson's going to get me that. So I did not spend my waiver wire on him. I spent it on Tariq Cohen. To me, a Tariq Cohen, someone you have to spend a number 1 waiver on, I know. I mean, our waiver wire, this is a pretty competitive league with deep benches. There's not a whole lot of, options out there. And believe it or not, I'm deep at running back, but I'm in the same situation in this league. I'm deep at running back. Well, I shouldn't say that. Fournette. Leonard Fournette has really paid off for me. He's slowly becoming a top 5 running back. So I can't say I have bad running back. Leonard Fournette has definitely been a very, and then I did pull off a trade. I've got David Johnson and Edmonds both. Now, I don't know if that's good or bad, as long as one isn't playing.
Yeah, as long as you know.
Or at a minimum, if Johnson's not healthy, that's a struggle. Where are you at on that right now? I've heard 2 different things today. One that David Johnson has been overtaken and Edmonds is going to start either way, and it gives him another week of rest. Or is he really hurt and just still not going to play? Or is this still David Johnson's backfield?
No, I still think it's David Johnson's backfield, but I think that the way if Cliff Kingsbury is as creative as he's reported to be, and I think he has in some of the ways that the pass catchers, like the route combinations that they've been using, but if they really wanted to maximize the value of both of those backs, I think they're both really talented, then move David Johnson out as a wide receiver and let Chase Edmonds run the ball. They both
can catch the ball.
Well, David Johnson is a converted wide receiver, so he can catch the ball. I know. Yes, I mean, if they're both talented at playing both positions, then let David Johnson run out in space, get him away from like running into offensive lines, getting banged up,
right?
And then let Chase Edmonds run the ball, and then now you have, now you can run that vertical offense because now you have just as many talented receivers that can run to the short and intermediate areas of the field. Because it's starting to look like Larry Fitzgerald is like on his like tail off portion of the season, like where his oldness starts to take over. But either way, I mean, I think that if you really do want to maximize it, you can get both of those running backs out on the field. It's very similar to the way that Green Bay, like last week, they started to run plays with both Jamal Williams and Aaron Jones out in the field. Jamal Williams, his touchdown reception came with Aaron Jones out in the slot in a trips formation to the left, Jamal Williams flanking Aaron Rodgers to the right, and then Williams ran the route to the flat out to the right, and then he wound up catching the touchdown. Right. So you can do those like types of creative plays. I think Cliff Kingsbury is the type of guy to do it. It's just, one, you have to make sure that David Johnson is healthy. So if that is true, then the best way to unlock that offense and what they want to do in that offense is, put them both out on the field.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll be real honest. I put out a few trades today trying to trade the two of them for obviously a very high-end wide receiver running back.
Oh, sure. Yeah, because I don't think you could do one without the other, given the news.
Not for smart people.
Yeah.
And I was trying to get a good player, not that I think I was giving away or getting more or less. I really thought most of them were equal trades. It was just going to make my decision making easier. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, yeah.
Having both of them, I was willing to even accept a guy who some people would say is a step down wouldn't be the term. I was trading for what I would call an equal player, but you know what I'm saying? Some people might look at that trade and go, oh, I can't believe you gave that up. I would be giving that up to get rid of that, hey, I can't make the wrong decision because now I can start, and I'll throw a name. I don't want to throw a name out like a Barkley. If I could both of them and get a Barkley or a Chubb or something like that, I would feel more comfortable starting Chubb every week than knowing, do I start, Edmonds? Do I start Johnson? Can I play them both this week? Like last week, I heard a couple people complaining last week and I looked at it and I went, I think combined they got, depends on what league, let's say between 40 and 50 points combined. I get it that Edmonds had 39 of those and Johnson had technically 2 points. You know what I'm saying? Meaning if you still started both of them, one is a running back and one is a flex, most people would be happy with 20 and 20. Sure. Meaning if you got 40 points out of the two of them, you were happy. Now, the fact that one of them got 38 of them and the other guy got 2, that makes it look bad. But at the same time, 40 points out of 2 players, like I said, isn't terrible. So maybe you can start both of them but that's the point. They either both have to get 15 or one of them has to go off and get that 30 and the other guy get 10 and you get your 40 points. But like I said, it's, again, it's just the way you look at it. So, but like I said, I have had Edmonds and have yet to play him. That was the thing. I've not played him. He keeps going off and off and off, but I have for
last week. I mean,
I know.
I guess the only thing that I listened. I mean, we both listened to JJ Zacharyason's podcast, and I remember that press conference where Kingsbury made the comment. I just dismissed it as coach speak, but I remember when the report came out on Friday, and he had said that if they were going to have the game that day, David Johnson wouldn't have played.
Would not play. Right.
Yeah, I remember that. I just dismissed it. And when they said he was active on Sunday, I was like, cool, all systems go, let's roll.
Yeah.
But then now it's just like, okay, we can look back at it and maybe say that we were supposed to take something from it. But
now,
man,
it's not like again, me and you have talked. This is like poker. You can make the right decision and it be wrong. I played Kerryon Johnson and I played Fournette, meaning both of those to me had to start over Edmonds.
Yeah.
Because I assumed Johnson was going to play. So, that's kind of the way I went. So, all right. I think that's the big, now let's talk injuries that are ending that could affect this week. Lou Landers is out there listening and he's, making a comment about his $100, and that is correct. Lou Landers spent $100 on Ty Johnson. Somebody he dropped him like 2 weeks ago, and then I had to pay $100 for him. He said he really likes him. Lou thought I should have picked Ty Johnson up instead of Tariq Cohen. That he thought Ty Johnson had a better shot. My argument would be maybe for 1 or 2 weeks. And then obviously if he does well, he could keep the job, but I think it's less like, I think there's more of a chance he busts than Tariq Cohen. And I use my waiver wire pick kind of like I do my, my round 1 draft pick. I kind of like the idea of a decent insurance guy or somebody I know for sure is going to be the starter there. Meaning, for a fact that this guy was their new up and comer and they were looking at him and, let's go back to the Johnson Edmonds. I mean, if Johnson's out and Edmonds would be on waivers, I would have given $100 or more, because we know he is the guy.
Yeah.
But to me, we do not know that with Ty Johnson. I mean, Ty Johnson got replaced Maryland. I think he played at Maryland or Rutgers. I know he played in the Big Ten on the East Coast, Maryland.
I don't remember, to be quite honest with you.
So yeah, 6th round stud, right? He did, but my point is, his senior year he lost his job. Still got drafted, and then like I said, he didn't do well when he was in the game the few times he's been in there. So, hey, Lou likes him. That's fine. I'll be
That's
fine.
all that matters.
And yeah, the Bears, Lou, I agree with you. The fact the Bears suck is what makes to me Tariq Cohen the better pick here, right? I mean, the Bears most of the time are going to be throwing the ball a little bit, and they're going to be dumping off because their quarterback can't throw too far either. So speaking of a quarterback who had a bad week, that's definitely another one. So, we'll see. Okay, Lou, you're right. Tom Brady did not start at Michigan right away, but once he did, he didn't lose that job. Ty Johnson was the starter and then lost the job and then got it back like the last 2 games because of an injury. So to me, that's different, meaning he lost the job where Tom Brady just was not, the starter until his senior year and the way it fell. That's to me different, but okay. All right, moving on this week, injuries that could affect us. Or I guess the first one is Drew Brees. Is he going to play? Is he not going to play? Is he going to be their backup? I traded for him also this week. Actually, he involved in the David Johnson trade that I did. I gave away Brissett and included in that, I got back Brees because the guy that I traded with needs to win this week. He could not. The deal was in my favor a little bit. But the point was I got players that might not do anything the next week or two, but should be fine. I'm in second place in that league too. So I'll be fine. I'm 5-2. So I could afford Brees. He needed Brissett. He needed someone to get him points this week. I could give it. I don't know he got Kittle for me, Brissett and Damian Williams.
Okay.
I got David Johnson, Juju Schuster, and Drew Brees. So I got 3 guys that who knows. There's a chance David Johnson doesn't play but one more half of football. I mean, but
possible.
But I have Edmonds. So to me, the combination meaning if David Johnson is still David Johnson, I'm good. If David Johnson gets hurt, it elevates my Edmonds guy. So I felt comfortable there.
Right.
And I'm hoping Breeze helps me better through the playoffs and Brissett, even though Brissett's been awesome.
You mean Bridgewater?
No, Brissett. I've been using Brissett.
You've been using Brissett. Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So, and it's a 2 quarterback league, and I like the idea of going into my playoffs with Breeze versus Brissett. But
sure, yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. But will Bridgewater be the starting quarterback?
I'm like 50% sure of that.
Right. I know that feeling too.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lean like either way.
Mine's a super flex. I'm debating on just not playing a quarterback. I mean, I have Drew Brees. We are not allowed to. We've had this conversation. I can't roster more than 2 quarterbacks. So I have Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees. I think I'm just going to have to play a running back or somebody in that flex spot, or super flex spot. Cause I don't think I can afford to put Brees in there unless they truly come out Saturday and say he's definitely the starter. If he's definitely the starter, would you start him?
Against Arizona? Sure. Why not? I mean, because I think at this point in Drew Brees' career, if he says he's ready to go, I'm ready to believe that.
Yeah,
I mean, at his age, he knows the writing is on the wall. He knows he only has so much time left. So especially with the way the team has been playing, I mean, they've been undefeated under Teddy. So I don't think that he would put himself in a position that would hurt the team. I mean, this is probably his last ride, if not his second to last season, if not his very last season. So, and they have a shot at winning the division and going to the Super Bowl. So I don't think he would put himself and the team in a position to lose, even if it's against Arizona, if he didn't feel that he was ready to go. So if he's cleared and he's going to start, I'm starting him. In this matchup against Arizona, I mean, they've given up like at least a top 10 at the very least fantasy quarterback performance in, I think, 4 of 6 games. I mean, minus playing against Daniel Jones last week, and Daniel Jones, for as bad as he played, still managed to get like over 10 fantasy points. Yeah, if Drew Brees is playing, I'm playing him.
Yeah, I mean, and the good thing is it's a 1:00 game.
Yeah, so you'll know right away. So it's not like you have to wait until somebody, most of the majority of the games are played at 1:00, or you don't have to wait all the way until Monday night.
And I know there's the people out there that go, oh, they got that other bye week, just don't play him. And I'm the other way sometimes. If he's this close, I'd rather say play him, and then if there's an issue, you have a week to
exactly.
You have 2 weeks to get it resolved.
Yeah, I do agree with that logic, because if they have to wait until after the bye, then there's no chance for him to rest, no chance for them to make any adjustments or anything like that. I'm just drinking water, bro. That's all I got. But I mean, there's no chance for them to adjust to anything that Drew Brees has to adjust to, like during the game. So if he takes a sack, falls on it wrong, or anything like that, I mean, they won't know until it's essentially too late in their season. And then at that point, they'll probably have to put him on IR.
Right.
So if they do it now, especially against Arizona, I mean, if it was another team, so let's say for some reason they were playing like the Patriots, I'd be like, nah, bro, just no, like just wait,
right?
Just give it some time. But no, I mean, it's this matchup at home. I mean, yeah. Let's if he's ready to go. And actually, I saw, I forget, one of the beat reporters for the Saints, he had retweeted a video from practice actually earlier today where Drew Brees was actually going through, I guess the mechanics of him having to grip the ball, and he was talking about if it's baseball, you have to hold the ball like this. And then if it's for basketball, you're really just putting like most of the pressures on your fingers. But for football, you have to grip it like almost like that. I mean, where your finger and thumb is like almost completely extended in order to grip it. And like, he was just going through the full mechanics of being a quarterback and trying to explain like what he's had to go through in terms of his like rehab in order to get it. I mean, he is one of the better quarterbacks that we've seen, but just his mindset and where, like, what he's had to do and trying to explain like what he's had to do in order to get back to where he's at now. I guess they were reporting saying that he was like rummaging through his house and like taking his kids' footballs, like the smaller ones, and like working his way up so that he could actually grip an actual NFL football. I mean, so again, if he's planning to play. He says he's playing. We're playing him.
And it's a hand injury. He either can grab the ball.
Well, he'll know right away.
Right.
I mean, he'll know right away if he's out, and like if he tweaks it or whatever.
If he can hold it and throw it hard with no pain, he's going to play. I mean, it's not something like, oh no, he could tweak it more. I don't think it's a tweakable thing, right? Unless you hit somebody else's helmet or, like you said, fall on it.
Right.
But those are things that would cause an injury if he didn't have one.
Mm-hmm.
So, to me, those aren't doing that to it doesn't bother me as much.
No.
No. So I agree. If he's playing, I'll put him in. So, that's where we'll go.
Trade just went through. Nice.
Oh, you got a trade to go through?
Yeah.
Oh, good job. I
got
one yesterday. Well,
Odell.
Okay, put it on the Odell Beckham.
Okay, so it was Odell. This was me. I was giving up Odell Beckham, Matt Breida, Ty Johnson, and Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
Holy Jesus, half your team.
For Le'Veon Bell and Devontae Adams.
I think you got the two best players, I think.
Yeah, I already have Chris Godwin, DJ Moore. Actually, on this team, for some reason, I have Mike Evans and Chris Godwin because Chris Godwin fell to like the 6th or 7th round.
Right.
Austin Hooper, Chris Carson. So yeah, Austin Hooper. I think I already said him though.
Now I don't know. Again, in our Sportscrew league, there hasn't been. I've noticed like hardly any trades. A couple went down the first week or so.
Yeah.
I didn't even get offers. I should say Lou offers me something crappy just about every week. But other than that, it's been a pretty, the activity has been, I thought would be more because most of the people kind of know each other through a chat room and all that, but there really has been not much activity. So
no, which was actually kind of something of a bummer. But
now I have learned and you play in more competitive leagues than me. I play in a couple. There normally are less trades because everyone's pretty much that, you're sold on your guys, they're your guys. You're sold on them. So you think they have more value than the other guy anyway. And then it's, it makes it hard when you think this guy is better than that guy. It's like tonight we talked, Lou doesn't think Tariq Cohen is worth Ty Johnson. So that's a trade we would never do because I think one's worth a lot more than the other one. And, it makes it harder when you.
I think it comes down to our evaluation of their situations.
Yes.
So like if you're going into it saying that, Ty Johnson on the Lions aren't that great of a running team to begin with because we saw how Carrion only had, I think he had like maybe one good game. But then past that, I mean, even in the game he was hurt, he only had like 12 yards after like 6 carries because, I mean, they're just not, the offensive line isn't opening up running lanes. They could still sign somebody else and their running backs weren't all that involved, or the primary running backs weren't all that involved in the passing game. So what's your upside? But a lot of other folks are approaching this just as it's a starting running back on an NFL team. So volume trumps everything. So let me just get all of the touches or gets the lion's share of the touches. Haha, right. Pun intended.
Well, we only got a few minutes and I do want to touch because I have really enjoyed your article every week now on 4 for 4. And the way I drafted this week or this year, I'm not streaming in 4 leagues. I'm not streaming anywhere, but I still enjoy the article.
It's fun to put together. I mean, it's the easiest way for me to research just like what's going on in the league. It helps because I don't have I try and watch all the games, but it just, I think it helps reset my mind for where things are. I like
the way you put it, together, you review what we did last week and how, that worked out. Obviously last week you had Jacoby Brissett, Josh Allen, and Kirk Cousins that all obviously did pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel Jones, who didn't. So, yeah. That's okay. But I guess, like I said, because we don't have as much time, I want to jump forward to, the streamers that you have for this week.
Yep.
I want to start with, I think, your top one, and that's Jacoby Brissett again, now against the Broncos. I guess and part of the reason I traded him this week is I didn't know if I'd be able to start Breeze or not, given Breeze for Brissett. But I was still worried a little bit about, is the Broncos defense not what I thought then, or why are you putting Brissett on this list at the top?
Well, I think, for two reasons. I mean, one, just because of the way that, Brissett has been playing. Now, I know the thing that I've seen pointed to quite a bit over the last couple of days, and I also I totally understand, is touchdown regression is probably going to hit him at some point, because right now it's either 6.8 or 6.9% touchdown rate is second in the league. I mean, that's I think a percentage, or a 0.1% ahead of Russell Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's right behind. I think Kirk Cousins is up there. I mean, so these are things that unsustainable rates. I mean, if we were to think at the end of the season that Jacoby Brissett would hold the number 2 touchdown rate in the league, I mean, everybody would just start laughing. So my guess is that, especially with the fact that Indianapolis passes at one of the lower rates in the league, they're probably around, I think, 54, 55%, somewhere in there in terms of either overall passing rate, neutral game script passing. Yeah, I would assume that Jacoby Brissett is probably going to fall back. But I mean, so that's part of it. On the other side of it, Denver, while I know everybody, Denver, I think everybody recognizes that Denver is not the same defense as they were 2 years ago, or even when they
understand that.
Yeah, or even when they dragged Peyton Manning's corpse to a Super Bowl. But regardless, it's more of they haven't really played anybody over the past few weeks in order for them to still look like this propped up great defense. I mean, they played against Phillip Rivers. I mean, Mahomes exited in the first half against them, and they played against Marcus Mariota, where he got Wally pipped by Ryan Tannehill. So it's if you haven't really played a lot of people, and now you have this this legitimate offense that, okay, so Chris Harris is going to shadow T.Y. Hilton. He's already come out and said that. But he's still been able to connect with Zach Pascal. I mean, Jack Doyle's still contributing. Eric Ebron is making circus catches. I think they're supposed to be getting back. I think Deion Kane is supposed to be coming back. Paris Campbell is practicing. Marlon Mack is still serviceable out of the backfield. Naheem Hines is still. I mean, you have 5, 6, 7 other pass catchers. They don't have the personnel, still to cover all of those people, and they're not generating the same amount of pass rush because Derek Wolfe is out. So I just don't see how Jacoby Brissett doesn't even put up at least a serviceable amount of points this week. I'm not saying he's going to be what he wind up as this past week, QB4, somewhere in there. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to wind up in the QB4, right, but he should still be in the QB1 conversation, because again, Denver hasn't played anybody.
Right, top 10.
Yeah, I would still top 10, top 12. I think that should be within a respectable range of outcomes. And then, I mean, sure, touchdown regression.
Now on your list is Teddy Bridgewater. Now, is that
might change?
That might. Okay, that's what I thought. So
yeah,
obviously, though, your point would be if Drew Brees doesn't play, obviously it's against the Cardinals. That's really
Cardinals
there. And
at home.
And Bridgewater's been good, right? I mean, it's not
Cardinals at home. Latavius Murray has been serviceable out of the backfield. Alvin Kamara didn't practice today. Josh Hill wound up getting a touchdown, so he's getting both tight ends involved. Assuming if Jared Cook is playing this week.
Right.
Ted Ginn has been involved. I know Traquan Smith is still out. I mean, so they've got, other people. So even if Patrick Peterson winds up shadowing Michael Thomas, because Patrick Peterson plays primarily on the outside, but he's also gone into the slot on a few occasions against elite number 1 wide receivers, still he's got other people to pass to. So I would still think that Teddy Bridgewater should be up there in terms of a quote unquote traditional streamer.
Right. And then deep leagues, I like that you had Ryan Tannehill, because I've heard a few people today say he's in most leagues, even people who say, I'm in such a deep league, there's not a quarterback available. He was a quarterback available probably in everybody's league. You couldn't use that one.
Yeah. And
I mean, it's just depending on who you have, obviously, if you have bye week issues, or a 2-quarterback league and somebody's gotten hurt and another guy's on bye and have other options. I wouldn't mind playing Tannehill, to be real honest. So
yeah, I mean, especially for this
good.
week. He looked good, but I mean, we watched Tannehill.
The situation looked good. I'll go there.
That's the thing. If they're playing anybody else, I couldn't get behind it. I would think it's more of just a one-off. He's coming in, playing against a middling defense, and he looked okay. But
Right.
I mean, playing against Tampa Bay, even though they're coming off a bye, how can you pass up that matchup? So I mean, but I guess I did see that Corey Davis wound up missing practice today because of an illness. So I think he's down.
I saw that too, but being Wednesday, I kind of
Yeah, it could be. He'll probably be back. He'll probably have a limited practice tomorrow. Hopefully, he's upgraded to full or even just limited.
Well,
He's left as questionable.
The last one, a quick comment because it's a guy we made fun of earlier tonight, and that was you had wrote looking ahead. Sam Darnold does play the Dolphins in another week. So obviously in a league where you're streaming and you have issues, you try to pick him up now,
right? Because they've got their decent stretch of games.
Especially look at your own bye weeks. Meaning, check your own bye weeks to see, hey, my quarterback is on bye. I should pick up Darnold this week.
Well, for everybody for right now, since we're talking about it, because week 9 is like the bye week apocalypse. I think like 8 teams or 6 teams are on bye next week.
Right.
So, I mean, it's 2 this week, and then it shifts to 6, I think, in week 9. So most likely, I know. I don't know how they came up with like this.
And again, we have another one of the damn London games. It's at 1:00. That's
right. It's the Bengals, right?
I know, and I would have loved to watch the Bengals,
right?
And the Rams. No, Bengals.
Yeah, Bengals and Rams.
Yeah, Bengals and Rams. I would have loved to get I haven't watched a full Bengals game yet this year.
Oh, I watched.
No, wait, didn't they play a late game? Maybe they played an 8:00 game. They did. I watched that one. They played
okay. Yeah, they did. It was a
game against Pittsburgh.
That's what it was.
So I did watch that one. So, but on Sundays, I don't. The Red Zone or some other game has definitely been on my big screen. The Bengals have been on my middle. Catches my eye enough to just go, not again. But so Sam Darnold, somebody you'd say to pick up and maybe
now would be the time to go out and get him, because if somebody was stashing him, they probably dropped him after this week, and then with week 9
with injuries today, he did sit out today too
because they removed his toenail.
They did. Oh, I thought he was seeing ghosts again. Who knows?
No, it was like he had a toe procedure where they removed his toenail or whatever. It's not supposed to be anything that he's not expected to miss.
I have had that. I have no big toenails.
Really?
I don't know. Just the tip of the day or not being a tip. I do not have toenails on my 2 big toes.
Interesting.
Yeah. Just to let you know.
Okay.
And my feet are still damn sexy.
Well, see, there you go. And you can still dance with the best of them. So we should expect to see Sam Darnold out there running from ghosts on Sunday. Then.
Now, I can tell you I was a young kid when I had them pulled out, and it does hurt like a mother for a while.
I can believe it. It's your toenail. I mean,
I know. And I would assume having it done when you're older and you play football.
Well, he's 22. He's still a kid.
No, but my point is, though, I would assume it's going to hurt.
Oh, yeah.
When he plays on it on Sunday, it's going to hurt.
Like, even with the, like premier drugs that they have access to, like as football players, that probably still hurts.
I'm sure my mom just gave me Robitussin. I don't,
back in your day.
Right. Rub some Robitussin on it.
It'll be fine. And take a nap.
Yeah. Amen. The only thing, because I had it marked down here, and we didn't talk about it. When I was talking about people coming back, and we were going to go into that, and we only kind of got to Bridgewater or Breeze. The other one I wanted to mention real quick before we end is, will we see Patrick Mahomes? For fantasy, that's a big deal, right?
I don't understand. So, yeah, I know you probably saw the reports, too, that he was like a limited practice participant. And from what I read even further, like Matt Moore was sharing reps in practice with Patrick Mahomes. So it seems like they're legitimately trying to prepare him for this week.
Is this a competition? Barkley did it, so I have to do it.
And my question is, why?
I don't know why. I mean, to me, why? Well, okay. If there's any shot at why, it's that they really now have to win. I mean, they really do need to win now, because if they lose the next game, they maybe don't have to play him at all this year. Just let him rest and come back next year.
They still have a shot at the playoffs. I mean, it's not like they're going to be out.
They lose a couple more games.
I mean, they're 5-2. I mean, they're 2 games ahead of the Raiders.
Are they in? Oh, I thought they were in second. What?
They're in first place. They're 5-2.
Oh, all right. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I was looking at something else.
Just,
I thought they were 2 games out, to be real honest.
No, they're playing against. I mean, I know they're playing against. They're playing against the. No,
but again, it's back to we think different.
NFL
they are players and teams NFL teams, they don't do that. I mean, if the athlete is able to play, they play them usually.
Yeah.
I mean, so
That just seems that's bizarre to me. I mean, that you would try and rush him back.
Is there anybody other than Mahomes himself that you don't play if he's not playing? I mean, are you still playing all the Kansas City Chiefs pretty much?
Yeah, I mean, I know that I'm kind of. It sucks because I'm pretty much out on Damian Williams at this point. I haven't outright cut him yet, but I can't start him.
I'm the same. I haven't either. I think there's still more hope. I still think,
I know I should. I mean, everything tells me that I should just outright cut him and just let him be an anchor on somebody else's team. But I
was able to trade him in one league. I still have him in another league. I was able, out of the 4 leagues, I had him in 3.
That's me being a bad fantasy player, is just like holding it, does that sunk cost fallacy.
It depends on who you'd pick up. That's always my argument. I'm not sure there's anybody with more upside that you could have pioked up.
Yeah, but I mean,
does Ty Johnson have more upside? Does Ty Johnson have more upside than Damian Williams?
No.
Okay, then you can't cut him. That's the way I always look at it. Then you can't cut him.
Right, but honestly, what upside does Damian Williams have?
Doesn't matter as long as he has more upside than anyone you would pick up on waivers. To me, that's the smart way to play fantasy.
I agree.
I want upside on my bench. If McCoy gets a high ankle sprain this week, which is definitely possible.
Well, he's already been hurt once this season.
Well, but not down for a long period of time.
Right.
And not even that. I'm not sure he missed a game, did he? I think he just played a little bit in one game.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't think he missed a full game.
That's my point. We still have not seen, and again, it's back to the way it's the fantasy. If you can afford to keep him on your bench, there's still a shot that McCoy can't finish the season. And we get the Damian Williams we got the end of last year, which is he ran into the playoffs. Because if I recall, their schedule's not too tough at the end either. So, it would take, like I said, I'd have to see upside and starting ability. I don't drop people because people say, I just hate to look at him. I just don't want to.
No, I can't do that.
Right. To me, saying you're hanging on to him too low. Now, again, adding him into a little package where it just puts somebody looking, I'll trade for him and see, maybe I'll get lucky, that kind of thing. We call it shit for shit. Sometimes, you just get sick of looking at your crap. So you convince another guy to trade you, his crap, and you see what happens. I mean, would you rather have Mixon on your bench right now or Damian Williams?
Oh, Damian Williams, no doubt.
Yeah, I agree. Right. Mixon, who's still a starter, I still think Damian Williams has more upside because of the offense he could be in.
Yeah, it's the offensive situation.
Right. I don't think Mixon now is going to win you a Super Bowl.
But that comes back to what we were talking about earlier, in that regardless of how much volume you can project a player to have, not all touches are created equal. No, so one touch for Damian Williams, assuming that he's actually out there on the field more, but one touch for Damian Williams has got to equal more than a touch for Joe Mixon or Ty Johnson. At this point, it just has to. I don't care if he's sharing a backfield with LaShawn McCoy or whomever.
Right.
But there's no way you can tell me playing running back on the Kansas City Chiefs is the same as playing running back on the Cincinnati Bengals or the Detroit Lions. It's just not the same.
Unfortunately, I hate to say it, but for once we might agree on something.
No, man. Well, we're back to where we were at like 2 years ago.
Yeah, that first podcast. We agreed with everything each other.
Right.
But even back then, we would say, I agree with you, but we just eliminated all that.
Just kind of wrong.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Now we just say, nope, I don't buy that bull.
Yeah.
So there you go. Chris, where can we find you?
Find me on Twitter at Chris Allen FFWX. You can find my work over at 444 Number Fire, and then so since it's October, we're halfway through the fantasy season. Dynasty stuff is starting to pop up a bit more, so I'll be doing a couple of things over the next week or so that are going to be dynasty related. So you might see some podcasts or stuff that I might be popping on. To talk, kind of where we're at in terms of rookie picks, what we see going forward for some of the guys that we thought were first rounders this year. So guys like N'Keal Harry, Miles Sanders, David Montgomery, Josh Jacobs, most of those guys that people were taking in the first round of their rookie drafts, and then kind of trying to turn the page forward to the 2020 class. So I'll start talking about some of those prospects. So some of that stuff will start popping up over the next few weeks or so.
Well, great. All right. And you can follow me at a Fantasy Fan. Pretty simple. And here at the Sportscrew Radio Network, I've got like 900 shows now.
I know. I saw I got the email last night that you were on Spreaker at like midnight.
No, we were on at 9:00. Maybe your email didn't come through till then. Right. That's the League of Anarchy Fantasy Football Podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Eight of my league members showed up in the video thing here to be on the podcast. Mm-hmm. We had the other, it's all young kids and 2 old guys. The other old guy last week listened to his first podcast of any sort for the first time ever. And that was our show. Mm-hmm. And then this week he was on a podcast. Okay. So he actually did the show last night. He went and bought a microphone and had his son hook it up for him. And even during the show, he goes, if something goes wrong and you don't see me anymore, I can't fix it because my son's gone. So, I thought that was pretty cool. He went from he didn't even know how to listen to a podcast.
So actually being
within 7 days, he listened to his first one and then actually was on one. I think that's pretty good. So
that was pretty good.
We had a good time. We have some issues in our League of Anarchy right now. So last night's podcast was, all about, it's hard to say. It was all about, I don't even know what to say it was about. We have a problem where we have a chat room for everybody and it gets pretty nasty.
Oof.
And some people take it personal.
Okay.
And anyone knows me, I'm a digger. I am a digger.
Yes, I know.
I will definitely feed the monkey.
But I thought you were humble. We started off the show saying you were the humblest.
I am, and I even told him that last night on the show. I am humble and all, and I even told the guy, and some of them have even said that. They'll text me information individually, and I'll give them one answer. And then the chat room, they'll say something, and I'll give an opposite answer. I said, that chat room is public. We're all in there. I will say shit just to, because one, just to give somebody shit. And 2, I'm not going to inform everyone in our league what we're either doing or talking about, so I've told them all that. If you guys want my truth, really what I think, text me individually. Because the chat room is an open forum, mainly to smack talk. And yeah, some people do say, hey, I got so-and-so available for trade if somebody, but even that becomes quickly. You can really legitimately get on there and say, hey, I have George Kittle. I'm looking to trade. Anybody interested? Let me know. The next 5 things will be just nasty comments about how he sucks or who would want Kittle. They're all trashing because obviously they want to devalue.
Yeah.
So you have to take it with a grain of salt. But unfortunately, a few people I think have taken it personal, because it does get nasty. And, a few trades went down and people said shit and then that person took it personal. But I found it entertaining because to me, it's fantasy. It's not real. So don't let the chat room be real either. That's the way I look at it. So,
yeah.
So there you go. Listen to the League of Anarchy Fantasy Football Podcast, which you can find on my regular, stream with all my other shows. The A-Hole Hour.
Yeah.
Out there. And Sunday, me and Lou Landers will do the sit-start show. So catch me out here. Chris, thanks for coming. We went over again. We're getting closer to 1 hour than we used to all the time, but
I think we're all
right. We're all right. There we go. Well, thank you. And I will see you next week. Say goodnight.
Good night.
This has been Just a Fantasy Fan Podcast. And to keep your fantasies going, follow us at justafantasyfan.com. Say good night. Good night.